Yeah, it's not good.
It's great.
It's not good. It's great.
I can open a chat window and have it like pretty big without covering up all of our topics.
Okay, so I'm just going to say this, Cody. This entire show, I am going to be waiting for your guest host to sit down for his interview.
It might happen. It's actually going to be part of it. Just so you know, he's coming up here just to be on the podcast.
All right, I'm gonna get some water. I'll be right back.
Okay, we're live.
Okay, no more secret talk.
But secrets are so fun.
We have so many of them.
So many juicy secrets.
We're so talkative. It's a lively crowd.
We're saving all of our deep insights for the show.
We are.
Deep gingerbread insights.
Don't sell it.
I can't wait to divulge once we start.
Yeah, we have gingerbread secrets. We've been holding on to them for like 4 years.
I remember like feverishly searching for the live wallpaper that came on Gingerbread. You guys remember that? It was an update to the Nexus live wallpaper that had like.
Oh yeah, it had that sort of softer background.
For some reason, I was like, "Holy shit, that's the best live wallpaper ever made."
I feel like my laptop's gonna blow up. It's continuously sticking at 99% CPU.
What kind of laptop is this? Is it made out of sticks and mud?
You know, actually, it's a Sony, and the good thing is that it has lots of, surface area for thermal dissipation purposes. But, yeah, it does not like recording the USB microphone and running a Hangout at the same time. It is expressing its displeasure. I'm not, like, cutting out or anything, am I?
No.
No.
Not yet.
You have
Okay, so things are at least holding steady.
You have exactly enough CPU power to do this. Any more, and it would have to drop something else.
Well, I know I had that program on here that I was trying to use to play voicemail messages. I think that it was kind of exceeding what my sound card could handle and having a lot of mic problems and a lot of headphone problems. Because today I uninstalled, like, everything sounds great.
Interesting. Yeah, you're not cutting out. I mean, you had a little it looks more like connection hang, but not any garbling.
Sweet.
Sweet indeed. I'm gonna try to close out some background apps here. See if I can at least reduce the RAM usage. Yeah, I bet I can temporarily disable Windows Defender. That might be causing some issues.
1 second, I'll be right back.
Okay, deleted that, so that's off. Okay, that actually might have done the trick. No, still 98%.
Hey, you gained 1%.
Yeah.
8%, yes. Sorry for everybody watching live. We are about to get started here once Cody returns.
No, actually, once Cody gets back, I'm leaving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're all going to take turns leaving. After Liam comes back, then I go.
There's a really great bakery about half a mile from here. I was going to go pick up some cookies.
Oh, so what I can tell you that's not secret. Guess what? We went to an event today for Huawei, and we got a box.
Ooh.
You know what's in the box?
Huawei stuff.
Absolutely nothing interesting.
Oh, snap.
There's an umbrella in there. Yeah,
Nice.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm going to unbox the Huawei box.
The Huawei umbrella.
It's actually not a Huawei umbrella. It's just an umbrella. They were very clear on that.
They didn't even brand it. They didn't slap a logo on there.
No, it is a London Fog umbrella. So it's actually kind of nice. So they gave us an umbrella. And what else have we got in here?
That's a very strange thing to give out. Like it wasn't raining.
A Huawei branded sticky pad notebook.
Oh my goodness.
What else? We have a passport holder. Fancy. A stainless steel business card holder.
This is a lot of office supplies.
I feel like they had like an event, like a corporate event for like retail partners, and they handed all this stuff, and everybody was like, why do I want that? And then they gave it to us. And there is my steel business card holder, which I will never use for anything.
Yeah, I don't think business card holders are a thing that anybody uses.
And there is a notebook, a Moleskine notebook. No PR package is complete without a Moleskine notebook.
Is it branded though?
It is. It has big Huawei. It's actually it's subtly branded.
See, if it was plain, I'd be excited.
Yeah, I would have been more excited too. Oh wait, there's one more thing in here. A press kit, and I can't tell you what's on the press kit.
But I can.
Technically, you didn't agree to anything.
Yeah, exactly. There's a photo of an umbrella on the press kit.
The Huawei umbrella.
The box is nice. It's like a Huawei branded hat box.
It's like a care package for international office work.
Because
I'm
I think the last time
like travel-sized toothpaste in it.
That would be nice too. I'm always for free toiletries. I mean, I would never turn them down. If somebody's like, "Would you like this pen or a tiny little container of shampoo?" and I'm gonna go for the shampoo every time.
Well, you'll use the shampoo up to its, capacity. I think the same has ever been said for a pen.
It's true.
Like, has anybody ever actually used a pen until you just flat out couldn't use it anymore?
Yes.
You have?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever have in my life.
Not like a disposable pen. I always lose those.
Actually, a good friend of mine is into whatchamacallit, the fancy pens.
Calligraphy?
Not calligraphy, but the pens themselves.
Just really overpriced fancy pens.
Yes, well, not overpriced, but fancy pens. I mean, there's a subreddit for this, of course, and he enjoys it very much.
r/fancy pens? Is that? I mean,
that would be the best. r/fancy pens. Subreddits that should exist.
Well,
okay, are we ready?
I believe we are.
Okay.
So have you started recording?
I'm not recording. I'm going to rip the audio from YouTube because all I have is my laptop. So we are.
Oh, right, and we don't want to bring it to a screeching halt.
So, and I will do the plug before we do. So,
okay.
This week's Android Police podcast is brought to you by Simple. Check them out at simple.com/Android Police.
Welcome to the Android Police Podcast, your weekly audio source for all things Android. It is Thursday, August 20th, 2015. I'm your host, Matthew Smith.
I'm David Ruddock.
I'm William Spratha.
I'm Ryan Whitwam.
I'm Cody Toombs.
So I forgot to ask before we started, is there a timetable for Cam's return?
Yes, next week he should be back.
Should be back.
Barring he does not have any more serious head injuries.
Well, we can only hope. All right, so, had a pretty good week of news this week. There was an official name given to Android. Probably not the most unpredictable name that given. The Marshmallow branding, of course, being official this week. A bit of a disappointing statue. I don't know if anybody else really.
I don't like the statue.
Yeah,
I don't like it at all.
It's not good.
If it's possible to mail in a statue, that's exactly what they did.
I mean, they did technically mail it there, right? I mean, somebody
I believe
shipped
they
it.
put it on the back of a pickup truck. I don't know if that counts as mailing.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they didn't just phone that one in. They phoned it and then they faxed it in. It's just not a good statue. I mean, you don't have much to work with Marshmallow, but you have to think there would have been a way to marshmallowify the Android.
Made the Android guy look like a marshmallow instead of just having a statue of the bug droid holding a marshmallow.
The Android dude already looks like a marshmallow.
No, it would have been. They totally could have done that, or just like make like a giant green marshmallow with antenna or something.
They should have licensed the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. It was such a given.
That would have been
they really should have. That would have been amazing.
Yeah, no, a giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man just hanging out outside the Android building. That would have been fantastic.
Maybe Stay Puft is like, no, we won't license anything. There's a new Ghostbusters movie coming out.
That's actually probably true.
That would be good though. I mean, but yeah, that statue is terrible. And the name itself is like, well, it makes sense. And of course, then the version is 6.0, which Google trolled us all the way.
I know, yeah. They were really clever with that one. Like they subtly said, no, look, 520 in the demo mode on Android M Preview. So everybody was like, obviously it's 5.2. Nope.
It's 5.20. Obviously.
You've got to think like those are just like the 6.0 thing is probably something. It's like some email chain that like has been going on for like 3 months and somebody responds to like once every 2 weeks and like I guess 6.0 maybe 5.5.
Yeah,
and then Dave Burke's like no I think 6.0 is cool.
Yeah.
They were
so
probably
I can tell you like.
They were probably watching some other podcast where there's like somebody saying, "Hey, I will totally take a pie in the face if it's anything other than 5.2."
And that's why I don't make pie bets anymore.
I mean, you just do it about something you're really sure on. Just be really certain and then do it.
I do have to say, Ryan. Your responsibilities trying to goad him into pie bets lately.
I mean, I just after I had the success with the last one, I just really want that to be our thing now. Is that I talk David into making bad pie bets and make pies himself.
Yeah, I would make some pie bets, but I'm pretty sure at this point I'm only going to make bets on things that I know are actually going to happen. Like there are going to be 2 Nexus phones that that's.
Do you want to? Do you want to?
Let's make it interesting.
Can we put a caveat on there? There's going to be 2 Nexus phones in 2015.
That's.
Come on, be bold, David. Be bold.
Oh man. Okay, fine. Let's get specific. So 2 Nexus phones in 2015, one made by Huawei, one made by LG.
And if that doesn't happen.
I will, find some suitable pastry to slam into.
What about a moon pie?
Yeah, moon pie.
A moon pie? That doesn't.
If you could make it.
That's
not really
work. I have to be able to go to a grocery store and get this and do absolutely no effort other than that.
I'll tell you what. If you lose this bet, and now I hope that you do. No offense. We can have the audience vote on what kind of pie you eat yourself with. Yeah,
that's actually a good idea. Pie. Okay, so whether or not I lose this bet, you can submit your pie suggestions or pastry suggestions. I'm not gonna. I mean, it could be a cake too. I'm not gonna rule out cakes.
It has to be something that smushes good, though.
Are we limited to 1 pastry item?
It has to be something I can hold in a single hand and then slam into my face. Those are the basic requirements.
How good is your balance?
So yeah, send your pie suggestions to podcast@androidpolice.com. And
I mean, it's the annual David Pie Bet. That's really what it is. I mean, every year you got to do this.
It's a tradition. It's like Festivus.
Yeah.
But with more pie.
So we should probably mention that along with the Android M and version numbering, we also did get a one developer preview closer to final release. The developer preview number 3 rolled out this week as well. So.
We did, and one thing I want to point out is that the battery stats on the new preview are fixed on the Nexus 6, which is good, so that your phone doesn't, before on Preview 2, I think they had the battery stats set to like Nexus 5 or something, and it thought the battery is way smaller than it was. And so what happens once your phone goes below 10% on the last couple versions of Android, it goes into like super processor throttle mode, even if you don't have power saver turned on. I have no idea why it does this. And so the Nexus 6 would get to 10% very quickly, and then stay at 1% for like at least 20% of the battery capacity's worth, and render your phone nigh unusable. And that is fixed on M Preview 3.
So does it do all the throttling without the orange bars?
No. I mean, not sure what's being asked there.
Oh, that's he's talking about the power saver mode that you can turn on, where it makes the nav bar and status bar orange.
Oh yeah, I don't actually use that, so I'm.
Well, I'm just saying.
So you would.
That's all you're actually disabling when you disable power saving mode is the orangeness.
It's true. It does seem to be about the relative effectiveness of power saver mode.
All right, good deal. Well, let's talk about Google's next product that they released to the market this week, the OnHub smart wireless router, which kind of came out of nowhere yesterday. It's a router. Google sells routers now.
Yeah, it's a $200 router. I mean, it's a very nice router if you have lots of wireless devices and not many wired ones.
Yeah, right.
There's only one regular Ethernet port. There's an in port for your cable modem and one out port. So if you need to connect more than one wired device, you need a switch.
Right. Which good luck finding a switch that looks as kick-ass as that router.
Yeah, but I mean, if you really care that much about Ethernet ports, you probably should have a switch anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, most routers have like maybe 4, and a lot of them aren't even gigabit.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we have yet to really understand what the potential of this product is. We got a spec sheet and some information, but I feel like once the app comes out, we'll get a much clearer picture.
Yeah,
of what this is really about.
Google talked about a few things that it will do. So, like, for example, every 5 minutes it surveys the wireless landscape of your home and chooses the best channel to be on. And then it will apparently get other abilities over time through software updates. So, right now, your wireless router, it totally has firmware, and there might even be a newer version of it than what you're running, but it's going to make exactly zero difference if you actually update most of the time. Supposedly, this is going to really change over time, and will do other things. And it has support for some home automation stuff. It has Google that Google Weave thing built in, and it's very pretty. Yeah, and Zigbee, yeah.
As well.
Yeah, I mean, the channel picking thing is cool for sure. I definitely appreciate that, because especially if you live in like an apartment building and you have people who are, you have lots of Wi-Fi networks around you, the ability to dynamically adjust channels makes a lot of sense. And I think that's just kind of a reality of the world we live in now, that most other routers haven't really recognized that yet.
So in your apartment building, are people turning on and off their wireless routers all the time? Like, why would the channels change?
That I can't really answer, but I'm going to guess that maybe the amount of interference or signal strength of a given channel depends how much it's being used, but I don't know.
A lot of routers, well, actually not a lot of routers. Some routers use like beamforming to improve signal depending on where stuff is. So like that could change over time depending on what people are doing on their networks.
I think it'd be entertaining to just have an entire apartment building full of OnHub smart wireless routers that are all adjusting every 5 minutes and just sit back.
They all talk to each other, and they map out who gets to use what channel. They all connect over Bluetooth.
They probably could.
Yeah, that's coming in a future software update. I just invented a feature for Google. They can have that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. On the one hand, I love how this router looks. I love its very kind of future-facing kind of feature set, where Google's trying to move us toward more of a wireless world. On the other hand, I'm not sure how I feel about letting Google manage my router's firmware.
I mean, I don't really like any router firmware as it is, so I'm perfectly happy to let them try if they think they can do a better job. And I mean, and using an app to manage the router just seems far superior to the terrible web interfaces that most routers have.
Especially if the app is as cool as the Fi app.
Yeah.
All right, so we have our ongoing bit on celebrating Android at 10 years. Of course, the 10-year anniversary coming earlier this summer, and this week we are moving on to Gingerbread 2.3, the version of Android that will never die. I think we can all pretty safely agree that it's just going to exist forever. But now we're going to talk about when we didn't talk about it with disgust. Because, well, there's just still so many devices, using it.
Yeah. How many? So wait, where is Gingerbread at now? Gingerbread is at 4.6% of active Android devices right now.
Ooh. That is, yeah.
I mean, well, hey, Froyo is still 0.3. That there are still enough Froyo devices that it shows up on the charts.
I mean, you got to wonder what the country rate. I'm guessing it's all China, or well, not China, because most of them don't have Play services, so they're not hitting the graph there.
Yeah, it's developing markets, presumably.
Yeah.
I think China was a big part of the reason why it dropped so much when we switched the monitoring method for the platform distribution numbers.
Was that a switch? So they went from all devices to only devices that are hitting Play Store?
Yeah, they made that switch, I don't know, a year or two ago. I don't remember exactly when, but I do remember when it happened that the Gingerbread numbers dropped pretty drastically.
How devices that didn't check into the Play Store, like what were they checking into though?
I don't know. It might have been maybe it's Google Cloud messaging or something. Something that would be more widely. But I mean, I don't know how many phones in China would have Google Cloud messaging apps.
Yeah, that's true.
They didn't have the Play Store. I'm guessing none. So I wonder what a difference it actually made. I remember this being kind of a thing, but I don't recall the specifics. So as far as Gingerbread itself goes, I mean, I do not have any quiz questions this week because I am ill-prepared. But so Gingerbread was released in, so that was what, early 2000, or no, it was late 2010, right? So that was the Nexus S. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just I've not done a huge amount of research this week. Yeah.
I know that Gingerbread's camera was really excellent. It had that textured bar at the bottom. That was so.
Oh yes, the leathery look.
It also introduced NFC to Android. I'm totally not looking at the developer page for Gingerbread right now at all.
Hey, by the way, it was April 2013 they made the change. Prior to April of 2013, it was just devices pinging the Google servers, and then after that, it became check-ins during the last period to the Play Store.
Okay. So with Gingerbread, I mean, what were some of the big things we got? So we got support for higher resolution displays, because at that point, Android phones were pretty limited in display resolution, weren't they?
Yeah.
I think we were stuck pretty much at 800 by 480. I don't even know that QHD displays, like lowercase q HD displays, had happened at that point.
We got UI refinements, meaning a black and gold and green color palette.
Yeah, that was one of the uglier color palettes Android has ever had.
But it was refined for simplicity and speed.
Yes, yes. And they also had that live wallpaper that...
yes, I love the live wallpaper.
That live wallpaper was pretty sweet.
Yes.
The oh, go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
I was just going to say that was the first version that supported NFC, even though it was just reading NFC, if I remember correctly. It wasn't writing yet.
It also looks like this is the first one with... no, maybe not. I think I'm looking at the wrong thing. Oh, I remember this was the thing. We moved... Okay, Cody can probably enlighten us on this. Android moved to concurrent garbage collection which at the time I feel like people were excited about.
Wow, there's so little to say about that. Yeah, they moved to that, but it really did not make that big of a performance difference. If I remember, I think the first version that came out actually was working worse because it was like colliding. Different apps would try to garbage collect at the same time, and it would just like freeze up for a couple seconds.
I think if I were to say the most important thing that came in Gingerbread was the screen off animation on the Nexus.
Oh yes. Oh man, that was so good. The CRT animation.
Okay, so this is interesting. So, according to Wikipedia, at least, which potentially not the best source of information, this was the first time Android supported front-facing cameras.
Wait,
I was not aware of that.
I think that's true.
But
That sounds
I had
plausible.
the Evo, which came with a Claire, and it totally had a front-facing camera.
Yeah, but
That
I'm
doesn't
gonna
mean that it was natively supported.
yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I know Gingerbread is the version that they added the video chat stuff to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It did have a redesigned keyboard as well, so that's a thing.
Yeah. Oh, and you could actually select text properly. It
Yes.
finally had the little handles where you could drag the selection box.
Oh my God! See, these are the things that, like, we take for complete granted, in the great year 2015. But going back to late 2010, I mean, Android was a lot more bare bones. So, look, we didn't even have native support for gyroscopes in Android until Gingerbread came out. This basic sensor.
Hey, just remember, these are all things that some people in other worlds are still missing. Let's say Windows Phone. Cough, cough.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sad.
No, I'm sure Windows Phone has that now, but
I'm sure they do. Yeah.
Windows Phone 7 came out during Gingerbread, and I remember it missing basically everything. Copy paste was still missing at that point.
I do remember that. Yeah, I remember that being a big kerfuffle over the copy paste issue. Considering how Windows is, one of the pioneering copy paste OSs, and if you can be pioneering in such a basic way. I'm digging through the Android Police archives so one of the big time phones. Well, let's see here. So the Droid 2 was one of the first Gingerbread phones, I believe, aside from the Nexus S. I remember that being a big deal because the original Droid was so successful.
Is that the one that had the R2-D2 edition? Was that the Droid 2?
I think the Droid 3 had that as well, or a Star Wars edition of some kind. Maybe not an R2-D2, but yeah, one of them had an R2-D2 edition, which is hilarious in retrospect.
Yeah.
The Droid 2 was the one that had the official R2-D2 variant.
Okay.
We had VoIP. VoIP was added in 2.3.
Yes.
I always think it's interesting because Android 2.3 added VoIP, but yet when T-Mobile started using VoIP, it wasn't supported on the Nexus 5, which was several years after Android natively supported it. But I digress.
So at some point, apparently, we thought, I'm going back in our articles here, and some of this is quite embarrassing. We thought the version number for Gingerbread was 3.0, apparently, at some point. And enough that I wrote an article that said, rumor minimum specs for Android 3.0 Gingerbread. Aims for a complete break from Android 2.1, 2.2. So that's fun. And here's one. Here's another great rumor about Gingerbread. Google wants the next version of Android's UI to blow your mind.
Yeah.
With green.
I mean, I'm sure they wanted that. Whether they accomplished it or not is another question.
Some of these stories. So here's another good one that I think is pretty funny. So Acer and Motorola waiting for Gingerbread to release Android tablets because Gingerbread had so many tablet-specific improvements.
Yeah. Well, it was probably that screen resolution you were talking about.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, enhanced screen resolution support. That would make sense because the Galaxy Tab, the original Galaxy Tab, ran on Gingerbread.
Yes, it did.
Yep.
And that was a hateful device. It was also really the first serious Android tablet, though. I mean, I think Samsung probably sold more of those than any other Android tablet had to date when that device came out.
Yeah, well, it was an extremely uncrowded market at that point too. I mean, it was that, and there wasn't a Kindle Fire. There wasn't, all this stuff from Acer and Asus and all this other stuff we've seen over the years. So it was a
That's
captive
also when
market.
Samsung started doing a lot of additions and throwing in almost everything into Android. I mean, Gingerbread was kind of where TouchWiz, I hate saying this, started kind of taking off, and that's the original Note came out with Gingerbread. They did a lot of modifications in that time.
Yeah, they did. I guess that is probably where Samsung really started with the modifications, because if you go back to the original Galaxy S, which ran, I guess that was 2.2. Was that a Froyo device, the original Galaxy S?
The S2 was a Froyo device originally.
I think the S was Eclair.
Okay, so the S was Eclair. All right. Yeah, and so then we had the Nexus S was the phone for Gingerbread. Looking back, the Nexus S was probably it seemed like a solid phone at the time. I feel like the letdown of the Galaxy Nexus for its terrible battery life and its crappy chipset, the Nexus S kind of hit a sweet spot. It was a pretty refined device, at least at the time.
It had a fake curved screen.
It did. It had a curved glass for your face.
Curved glass, but not a curved screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was banana curved for people who are curious about whether it's banana curve or taco curve.
Yeah, the taco curve is and always was dumb. The taco curve Samsung has moved to the reverse taco curve now, which I don't know what you call that.
Good point.
I totally forgot about the taco curve.
I remember when Samsung demoed that phone at I guess that was at CES.
The Galaxy Round.
I totally forgot about that. Wow. What is that for? I'm sure we talked about it already.
It's so you can press down on the one side and have the screen roll up, and then
it was for Samsung to show off its screen technology. That's the entire reason that phone existed.
I see.
What else was there? Yeah, I don't know. Gingerbread was one of those releases that was really it was big on paper, but then when it actually arrived, it's well, no, it's still pretty much the same kind of. I mean, you had these basic functionality improvements, but a lot of it was still pretty similar to what we'd seen. Like when we were talking about Honeycomb, that was really the big break for a lot of Android.
Was Launcher Pro still active back in Gingerbread days?
Ooh, I don't remember.
It was.
No.
Yeah.
There we go. Disappeared by then.
My big thing that I remember about Gingerbread is I had a Samsung Fascinator on Verizon, which was launched after Gingerbread released, but didn't launch with Gingerbread, and they said, "Oh, we'll have it in a month," and it took 8
you're saying
months
it took
or something. It took a really, really long time, and that was my initiation into crappy upgrade cycles on Android.
Guys, there are reviews on Launcher Pro from today and yesterday.
Are they good reviews?
I was just checking.
Awesome.
The screenshots are actually Froyo, so I don't think it was still active.
Okay, so here's a good Gingerbread device for conversation. It doesn't directly relate to Gingerbread, but it ran Gingerbread, and people were excited by that fact because it was a new OS, and it's such an interesting phone, even in retrospect. The Xperia Play.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
One of the strangest Android phones to exist.
A flashback.
People love that phone, though. They still, to this day, are Sony should make another Xperia Play.
I mean, they clearly shouldn't, because the people that are talking about it are the 5 people that bought one.
You know what I want, though? Speaking of weird phones, I want a Sidekick.
They did that, though.
I know, but...
I wanted to like the idea of the Xperia Play because Sony had such a vast library, of games, but then they proceeded to make absolutely none of them available for this device. There were a
Right.
few games they came out with, but they never built the game ecosystem behind it that this kind of device required. It was such a I really still feel like it's a missed opportunity. Sony could have really pushed the gaming-focused smartphone, and they completely abandoned that.
Well, I mean, that was still Sony Ericsson, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
So
And that was also the phone that launched the most disturbing Android-related commercial of all time. Does anybody
I don't
remember
remember this.
the sewn-on thumbs droid?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that was messed up.
That was really messed up.
Wait, describe this commercial to me, because I'm still not, like, I probably saw
It was a bug droid who had, like, they sewed thumbs onto his nubs so that he could, play
Oh,
games.
yes. Okay, I remember this. It was,
I don't think I saw that.
oh,
Somebody
man.
we should find this
Frankenstein
and put a
droid.
link in the chat. I think this is important.
Yeah. Yeah, Gingerbread is one of those, looking back, I think in retrospect, Gingerbread is much less impressive now than it was at the time, considering what came after it. I think Gingerbread kind of is not benefited too much with view of history.
Well, Google did spend so much time on Gingerbread just fixing everything. Like that, Gingerbread almost was like just a huge bug fix release over and over and over again.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they released Gingerbread got up to 2.3.6, didn't it?
7.
It got to 7. What device? I don't even remember.
I'm
Dot-
sure it was the Nexus
7
S.
was just Google Wallet for the Nexus S.
Okay.
And if
Yeah,
I
that was
remember,
one lots of revisions.
wasn't
The
5 the dual core for the Atrix or something like that?
Yeah, I remember that as well. But I don't think it was. Android still didn't have full native dual core support. That was Honeycomb, as far as I was aware.
Yeah, it was hacked in.
So at the
Yeah.
there was that Sprint version of the Nexus S, wasn't there? Was that a WiMAX phone?
Yes, I think so.
Weird.
Was it?
That's-
Maybe it wasn't. No, maybe it was still just CDMA.
Was it? I thought that it was like the Nexus S 4G or something.
Oh, you know what? You're right. But that
Yeah.
was for a different carrier, wasn't it?
No, I think Brian's
it
right,
was
actually.
Sprint.
Okay.
Who else would it be? I mean,
No,
it must
I
have
guess
been a
it was
WiMAX
for
phone
Sprint.
back then.
Yeah.
Sprint was the only one claiming 4G in like any big way at that time.
So let's see if you can still buy a Nexus S 4G. Yes,
Are
you
you
can.
sure AT&T wasn't calling their HSPA
I
4G
think-
at that point?
They were. So AT&T started doing that with HSPA Plus, and the first phone that had it was the HTC Inspire, which was a rebranded Desire HD, which had the battery life of I don't even know how to describe how quite awful that phone's battery life was, but it was a good phone. That was in the heyday of HTC's early design triumphs.
I had that phone.
I reviewed that phone. That was, I think, the first phone I reviewed for Android Police. I was thoroughly impressed at the time.
I had a roommate
Also,
with that
just
phone.
because of the whole honeycomb thing that happened, kind of side by side, Gingerbread. At one point, it seemed like Gingerbread was like the longest, like Android version ever. It seemed like it seemed like so long between Gingerbread and what it was ultimately replaced with on phones, which was Ice Cream Sandwich. Just forever.
It was a very
Yeah.
long gap.
It went all the way up to 2.3.7, I think.
Yeah.
It's also the only version of Android that ever had 2 API versions to itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went from, what was it, 9 is when Gingerbread released, and then they went to API 10 for 2.3.3.
Huh. Interesting. I buzzed. So, yeah, Gingerbread. Wow, in retrospect, not nearly as exciting. I'm hoping that Froyo maybe next week will give us a little more interesting stuff to talk about. I feel like Froyo was maybe a little more substantial, but maybe not.
Wait a
We'll
second.
see.
One more question. Was Gingerbread the one that had the cube app drawer that like scrolled up and down over an invisible cube, or was that before?
Well, I think it had that, but I think that started in Froyo, didn't it?
Oh, okay. I'll
Oh,
save my
okay.
thoughts.
All right.
So not exactly about the version itself, but kind of the time frame. I kind of always thought Gingerbread is when the rooting community got it just at its height. Like that's when everything picked up.
I think that makes sense though, because if you're stuck on this OS version for so long, then all these ROMs started. I was looking through our post history. We had a post of the best Gingerbread ROMs because there were so many. They were just proliferating at a insane rate. That was definitely high times for Android ROMs because you had all these phones stuck on this OS forever. And Gingerbread was, getting so heavily skinned. Android was really starting to get the skins at that point. You had Moto Blur in full swing on all the Moto phones, and Moto Blur sucked.
Yeah.
Moto Blur in the past was way worse than TouchWiz was at the time. Moto Blur was easily the worst Android OEM UI layer.
The funny thing about it was that Motorola thought that the name was the problem because after a while they just started saying it wasn't Moto Blur anymore, but it still was.
And they were just calling it Ninja Blur.
Yeah, it was like, well, it's not Moto Blur. Well, what's it called? It's not Moto Blur.
It's not that anymore. It's just kind of like it. It's just
it looks the same.
Name. That's
everything
marketing.
Pretty much works the same as it did before, but that's not what it is.
Yeah, Motorola was definitely Motorola had that the success with the Droid, and I feel like that success kind of like HTC, they had this uncontrollable success. They sold so many units, and then they proceeded to show exactly how capable they were of actually developing good software, which was completely and utterly just not good. And they got such a bad rap for that over those couple of years there living with Moto Blur.
I think there was a Moto phone in that era that had like a touch pad on the back.
Yes, that was the back flip.
That's right.
Possibly the most ridiculous Android phone that has ever existed.
No way. That goes to the Kyocera Echo. The Kyocera Echo will always be the most ridiculous phone.
But like the Echo is almost like not even a real phone. It's so ridiculous. It was built as a joke. I'm pretty sure that phone wasn't ever actually supposed to be sold or marketed.
But Sprint was like, yeah, totally, we'll sell that thing. Just send us like 20,000. Yeah, it's whatever.
And then they sent back 19,999.
Yep.
Ugh. God, the Moto backflip was such an ugly device too. It was like a brick.
Most of Motorola's phones at that point in time were pretty ugly. They definitely were not the nice-looking Android phones. They were very utilitarian. They had that Motorola industrial design, which at the time was plastic, but with like curved, like hard, like 90-degree edges. But it was just like it was kind of like your cordless phone. Motorola phones were always kind of like the shrunk-down version, which was kind of hard to believe considering they made the Razr. But that's how the early Moto phones really felt. They were all kind of bricks.
Well, there's some Moto Blur defenders in the chat room.
Well, they're wrong.
They're wrong. Moto Blur is terrible. It was always terrible.
I can't get too much because I never really had a chance to use it, and I'm not disappointed by that fact at all. Not at all.
I used it in its final incarnation on the Droid Bionic, which and it was still terrible. It wasn't even Moto Blur anymore, but that was still an awful phone, and Moto Blur was still terrible. It was just not a good UI experience. So,
we should probably move on to a friendly little word from our sponsor.
Yes, we should. And this week's Android Police podcast is brought to you by Simple, a better way to do online banking. You can check them out at simple.com/Android Police. Simple has some great features. It sends push notifications to your phone every time you make a purchase with Simple, which I think is a great feature for a bank to have, or an online banking service. It also lets you set goals for spending, so you can say, I want to buy, I want to save for this specific item, and Simple will show you an account balance based on your spending goal. So if you have to save $50 a week to reach your goal by the date you want to buy something, Simple knows how to do that, and it's pretty cool, and it's not the kind of thing you would find with a normal bank. And again, you can check them out. It's simple.com/AndroidPolice to help support the show.
Awesome. All right, so one last little bit of news on the Google. We did have a new Android Wear update that kind of rolled out this week, and I'm just going to go out and say it that I'm not super excited about the feature set. I don't know if anybody else is really feeling the update. Obviously, progress is good, and it probably fixes bugs like that too. But the whole interactive watch faces thing, like third party for a while, so. I don't know.
Yeah, this is actually, I feel like this is kind of a boring update because we've already effectively had this. I mean, I don't know how much they're really adding by making it official. Like one of the examples they used in the blog post is a watch face that I use all the time that has a feature where if you tap the middle, it shows your calendar, and it looks like it has the exact same functionality now. I don't know what they're really improving.
Right. I know. I like to make watch faces for my watch and Watchmaker, and they've had that ability on tap functionality for ever. So
yeah, I think the whole thing with as far as the translate thing too, I feel like they're kind of trying to shoehorn app functionality into an OS update. That's not an OS level feature. I mean, even if they build it into the OS level, yeah, sure, technically it may be an OS level feature, but this is clearly part of the Google Translate product, which is an app in its relationship to Android.
Right.
So this update doesn't include the shared watch face stuff that we saw in Cody's teardown, right?
It does.
It does.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
I know there's supposed to be an API for it, but I haven't seen anything about that being released yet. I may have just missed that though.
I mean, that's
I
pretty
think
cool.
in the blog post they said there was an API for the the interactive watch faces, but nothing about the sharing stuff. But yeah, pretty boring. I mean, it's a necessary update, I guess, but it's one of those Android Wear updates that kind of I think illustrates the fact that Google itself is having a hard time trying to figure out what makes a smartwatch experience compelling.
I think
especially the sharing stuff feels like a kind of a copy from Apple. I mean, it's more than what Apple does, but it feels in that same vein.
I think nobody has figured out what makes smartwatches compelling yet. That said, what I would like more than an OS update is a hardware update. But
yeah, and there should be. Hopefully, this fall we'll have a crop of Android Wear devices to look at. But I have to wonder how many partners are going to drop out come 2016 based on sales. I have to guess Sony's probably not too hot on continuing. For example.
Do you think the Sony Smartwatch 3 has sold less than the Smartwatch 1 or 2?
I think Sony in general is struggling, and there's no way they're probably making a profit on those smartwatches. Even if they're selling okay, I'm guessing they're just not getting that investment back.
Yeah, it's unfortunate though because the Smartwatch 3 is actually a pretty interesting wear device. I mean, I think it might be the best one of the first gen just because it has some features that the others just didn't. There was a reason for it to exist. Like, if you want to be able to read your smartwatch outside, you should probably get the Smartwatch 3.
Did they ever release the metal version of that?
I think yes, maybe not in the U.S. I'm not sure. I mean, you can get it. I don't know if it was ever officially retail availability in the U.S.
Yeah, I don't recall them ever making a big deal about it. It's finally available, but it was kind of like it'll be available at some point.
Right. Cool. We did have a total of 3 upcoming Wear devices that we learned of this week. There was all 3 of them had flat tires. So for fans of flat tires, that's pretty awesome. I mean,
yeah. So Motorola we've known that they're going to do another 360. and it looks like they might do two different ones, the 360S and 360L, based on a listing from Brazil. But Motorola also accidentally posted a short video on Twitter which appears to show a new Moto 360, and it has a flat tire still, which made people pretty sad.
Yeah.
But they will offer it in two sizes, which I guess is good. I don't know. I always felt the Moto 360's main strength was the fact that it had the biggest display of any of the Wear devices.
Yeah, I mean it was almost too big. I mean the only reason that watch was manageable is because it was round. I mean I could see a slightly smaller one making sense. But I mean, I guess it'll have a smaller battery, and I don't know, the limiting aspect of Wear right now.
I assume it'll also be cheaper.
One would hope.
Yeah.
My guess is.
I wonder if the chipset. I bet they're going to move that Snapdragon 400. There's no way they can put it through their TI
I
in
mean,
there.
look, I don't think that there are any more of those OMAP 3s. I think that Motorola used all of them that still exist, and it's over now.
You can only hope.
My guess is the price difference will be marginal, like $20.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd assume so as well.
Yeah, but then Intel and Fossil showed off a smartwatch very briefly. It too has a flat tire screen, but it'll have an Intel chip of some sort inside.
Yes, it has that Intel chip that they debuted, or they showed it off at CES. I forget, it has a code name, but they were very proud of it for being so small. Which, I mean, given where Intel was, 5 years ago, it is impressive that Intel's now making an ultra-low power SoC. So I have to wonder if there are going to be any benefits to that as far as power consumption or performance, maybe.
I feel like I know we've only seen photos from a long distance, like nothing high quality yet, but I feel like I was expecting to be wowed more by the Fossil watch. Because I feel like that was a big deal when Wear was announced. Like, hey, Fossil's going to make something one day.
Yeah, it definitely looked like a mashup Moto 360 watch or Bane. But, I mean, how many ways can you make a circular smartwatch interesting without getting to the point where you're just marginalizing yourself in the market by putting yourself in too much of an aesthetic niche?
Hey, that question is why I'm not a watch designer.
That's the only reason? That question?
That's what's been holding me back, you guys, this whole time.
So if that question hadn't been asked, you'd probably just be one.
I'd be at a watch facility right now.
I also wonder what it will cost. I mean, Fossil has never been a brand that is. There are some kind of expensive Fossil products, but they've always had such a strong focus on value. Maybe this, and Intel is so obsessed with subsidizing their partners' costs right now in the mobile space, just to get their foot in the door there. You have to wonder how much this thing will cost. If it comes in at like $200, it could suddenly be a lot more interesting.
It's true.
Whatever happened to Tag Heuer doing a watch? That
Sure.
was.
They're still doing it, I guess.
Yeah, they talked about it recently-ish, I think. I feel like a month or two ago we heard something about it.
And it's what, $1,500?
Yeah, it's some obscene amount of money.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. You have these smartwatch makers who will say like, oh, well, we expect this to be a timepiece you'll have for years, and it's like, well, yeah, I'll have it for probably 2, maybe 3 if we're like being really optimistic here. I just don't. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Then
I
the software updates will stop.
Yeah, it makes very little sense to do high end, at least right now. 5-6 years from now, it might be more plausible, especially if they can fit in some sort of more expensive high tech features. But right now, it's dumb. Not when the first chips are still coming out.
Yeah, it seems like you're paying a lot of money to be part of an experiment that is almost guaranteed to end with your product being functionally obsolescent at some point, just because the platform is going to evolve dramatically, most likely in the next few years.
I feel like in order to have a high-end smartwatch that's worth its money, you kind of have to have an approach similar to the Smartwatch 3, which is to say that the meat and potatoes of the watch can just pop out and be replaced. But it's in essence that's the exact opposite of what they did with the Smartwatch 3. Smartwatch 3, they make it pop it out so you can replace the strap. But I mean, the real value of that watch that's going to stay valuable for a long time is going to be stuff on the strap and stuff on the surround. It's not going to be the innards. So you're going to want to be able to swap out the innards for upgraded models, I think.
Yeah, I guess. But you're talking about such tiny things already, making them really functionally modular in any sense would probably be extremely difficult and expensive.
Isn't it the case that if you buy one of the like crazy expensive Apple Watches, that they'll swap out the inside parts later when it upgrades?
I don't know if that's the case. I feel like I heard that somewhere, but I don't know.
I don't know anybody who owns the $17,000 Apple Watch, so I can't ask.
It would be really weird if you did.
It would be really weird. Like, I want to meet those people. I mean, I'm guessing most of them like live in the UAE or China, but it would definitely be interesting to talk to a gold Apple Watch owner, an Apple Watch edition owner.
It would be interesting for like 60 seconds, and then it would just get increasingly infuriating.
That's true. It's probably very much true as well. All right, so we've got one more major story this week, and switching away from smartwatches, which admittedly do get boring to discuss fairly quickly. It looks like BlackBerry's Android slider phone is chugging along. Seems like they're gonna get ready to release it here in November.
Because BlackBerry is never boring.
It's never boring. Hey, I'm not gonna lie. The little teaser video that they had it looks like it's nice.
It looks like when this phone has the keyboard open, it's going to be gigantic and awkward to hold, because it's a portrait slider and it has a pretty big screen. I think 5.4 inches is
right.
What
it's gonna be, yeah.
I really do not care about physical keyboards at all, but I am interested to see what BlackBerry has to say about itself.
When was the last time an Android phone of any note with a keyboard came out? It's been like years, right?
The Galaxy S6 Edge Plus just came out the other day, Ryan.
That doesn't count. Don't even no.
I can't think of any that came out after the Droid 4 was I think the last one.
Ooh, no, there were probably some devices after that. I think T-Mobile had one. The
G2.
That was before the Droid.
Yeah, there was another one T-Mobile had. I think it was an LG one. It was a MyTouch. T-Mobile had another MyTouch slider after the G4 or the Droid 4, I believe. It was made by LG as the last MyTouch phone, I think.
I mean, at any rate, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it has. It has been a long time. I have to wonder if there's really much of a market left for this when you've got these great software keyboards that actually work now. I mean, when the iPhone came out, it was a legitimate complaint that software keyboards sucked. But we've come so far since then. Software keyboards don't really suck anymore.
Yeah, I think BlackBerry is making a mistake by making a keyboarded phone. I understand that it's their thing, and there are very loud people that want keyboarded phones, but I mean, for BlackBerry in the situation it's in to do something like that seems like not a very good idea. They need something that has really wide appeal.
Yeah.
I feel like what they're doing is they're providing an out for their remaining customer base.
Well, but they've been making a few non-keyboarded phones. I mean, it wouldn't be complete without precedent for them to make a phone that doesn't have a keyboard.
Yeah, I mean, they had the Z10, which was, bearable, but it was still, yeah. Today they actually released a statement, or maybe it was yesterday, saying they're still remaining committed to BlackBerry OS. And if you're doing this, it's like you've got the spouse with terminal cancer, and you decide to go get a glass of wine with a babysitter. It's just where this is going.
They did try the in-between approach with the Passport, where it had a keyboard and also a software keyboard, or partial software keyboard that popped up sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe BlackBerry could bring some interesting stuff to the hardware side. The keyboard thing, I guess they've got to play that because it's the only card left in their hand if they want to compete in the Android phone market, because everybody else is building basically the same kind of phones anyway. There's not too much else for them to compete on aside from security software, which I mean, isn't nothing for the enterprise and business space. But if you want mass market success. But I'm going to guess BlackBerry is going to target businesses with this, and I have to wonder what their sell is going to be.
The name BlackBerry?
Yeah, it's probably the number
BlackBerry
one
enterprise
sell.
software.
Yes,
BlackBerry
the
enterprise
best.
software that nobody uses anymore.
So
Yeah,
I
back
just
in the
got an
days when like having a BES meant you could get push email. Oh yeah.
I got an email just a day or two ago from BlackBerry advertising like to developers, make your software compatible with BES, blah blah blah, and like 7 or 8 times throughout the email, it specifically mentions Samsung Knox. Like, here's how to deploy your software to work with Samsung Knox. It was a little weird how specific it was.
I guess they see that Samsung has that success, and I don't know what Samsung's penetration is like in the enterprise market though. I mean, I know they want to get there, but I think the iPhone's still kind of kicking everybody else's ass.
Yeah. Yeah, well, in the meantime, we're going to have a slider BlackBerry phone that runs Android. I don't know, is it weirder to have a BlackBerry Android device or a Nokia Android device? I haven't decided which is weirder.
Nokia.
Yeah, I guess it's weirder to have Nokia because BlackBerry's been trying to lean on Android for like a year and a half, 2 years now, whereas Nokia is like, no, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna sully ourselves.
But to be fair, they actually did like
Yeah,
Nokia switched operating systems twice.
They also had the X series of Android phones, which weren't Android phones, but they were Android phones, which was such a weird play for them. Those phones were really strange.
Yeah.
I just completely remember those existed even. Like, I completely put those out of my mind. Because they were super cheap, weren't they? They were like $129 for like a 5-inch phone.
They were entry level, and they were heavily skinned. They didn't look like Android at all.
No, they didn't have the Play Store, and they had the Amazon App Store instead. Yep. So we'll see what happens with BlackBerry. I mean, it really is, this is their only out. Not that I think it's a very good one, though. It's the only option really left for them.
It would have been a good option a few years ago.
Exactly. They've waited so long.
Unfortunately, I think they do have one option left after this, which is just lean back on that patent portfolio they've got. But I really I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think BlackBerry's at a point where they have to release a product that either is going to get some kind of success in the marketplace somewhere, or eventually, hostile investor takeover is just around the corner, and then they start dividing up the company in pieces.
Right. So. Okay. All right. Well, you know what, guys? We are very, very short on emails and voicemails this week, so I guess this is the point in time where we implore you to do better next week as listeners. We need questions. We thrive on your feedback. So email us, androidpolice at police.com. So we have something to talk about in this space. We need just pandering for more emails. It's awkward for me.
I think we should open it up to general life advice. Do you have any life questions?
Yeah, because we all have it together so much.
Totally, we do.
We did get a pie request already, so
Hey,
at least that's taken off.
I submitted 2 pie requests in the chat room. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Now we just have to see what we can do to get them to delay one of those Nexuses a few months.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, let's. I feel very confident about this year's pie bet, but then again, I felt very confident about the first pie bet. Last year's pie bet, I was on the fence.
They could just wait until January 1st.
If anybody from Google is listening and can make this happen, I understand it'll be inconvenient for a lot of people, but it'll make us really happy.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was. I mean, they showed dedication to the cause when they whipped out that Nexus record time.
Oh, that Nexus 6. Oh man, it was. We were so close to no pie, and then that guy, the CFO, had to leave, and everything just fell apart. All right. Well, I guess that wraps it up for us this week.
Yep. So obviously, like I said, if you want to get a hold of us, podcast at androidpolice.com. You can also give us a call at 0HelloAP. That is 530-435-5623. 27. Also, Android Police at Android Police on Twitter and Google Plus and Facebook. So make sure you're sending us feedback so we can respond to it in kind.
Indeed. All right. Bye, everybody.
Peace out.